Welcome to the Rolling Coynes Podcast. I'm Ross.
I'm Krystal.
And thank you for joining us as we recap our Jiu-Jitsu journey. We are recapping, this is week 18, episode 10. And right off the bat, I need to address something.
Yeah.
Thank you to anybody who is out there that has listened to the podcast.
All 12 of you.
Yeah.
One person actually finished an episode.
An episode. You're a legend. Thank you so much.
Whoever you are. We tried to see if we could figure it out, get any sort of like geographic data, but
we couldn't see it in the analytics. So
Yeah.
if you're out there, leave a comment and we'll respond to you or reply to you.
and if you've started it and dipped after 5 minutes,
Still, thank you.
thank you.
That's still cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing that people are actually listening to it.
Let's really quickly, just for funsies, talk about the top search terms
Oh, whoa.
that led people to the podcast.
Here, let's look.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna guess because two of them were very expected. One of them was like first time jiu-jitsu. The other one was jiu-jitsu women.
Yeah.
And then the third one was diaper boy.
What's funny is I wasn't going to bring it up.
Oh.
But you actually searched what diaper boy.
Oh, don't
Where
do
it
it.
took you.
Don't do it. But yeah, I think it's just kind of funny.
That was
I
so
hope
bizarre.
I hope that someone saw it and was like, weird. Because every once in a while, your algorithm serves you stuff and you're like, why does it want me to watch this?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. So
Maybe someone who's also into weird diaper stuff learns how to do jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu. Well, to you listeners out there, laser blasts for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels, I don't know. I like kind of being behind the mic and not currently being filmed. I see our camera out, so I know that you're thinking of the next steps in the journey, but
Yep, one thing at a time.
I feel very protected right now wearing my Snuggie with my wet hair, and the fact that people are listening to it, it doesn't feel real because I feel so removed.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here at my dining room table having a conversation with you.
Is nebulous the word? So nebulous, just out in the middle of nowhere,
Maybe, yeah.
screaming into the void.
Yeah, it's definitely screaming into the void. We haven't told anyone we know about this. So, like, I don't know. It just feels like safe and protected. But the fact that we uploaded and people are starting to listen, it made me, like, pucker a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, we, I don't know if you can tell, but we don't put a ton of forethought into this. We just get on the mic and have
Yeah.
our normal conversations that we have when we're, like, driving around.
The goal of this right now is, like, just do it.
Yeah.
Right? We've had a lot of start-stops with ideas over the years, and I think some of those ideas were not great, but we never finished them because I think we always had this expectation that, like, something had to be good or
Accomplished or something.
like earning money,
Yeah.
right? You know, like we were in a phase in our life where it was like, what's our next side hustle?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't feel like a side hustle.
Mm.
This feels like it fits so well into our schedule during the week. It's like kind of a little mini casual date night.
Yeah.
You know, we're just catching up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy to just ramble about something you're so excited about.
Yeah.
Or to, I don't know, like offload the stresses of the week too, because it's not always happy stuff we're talking about.
Sure. And we're happy to have you guys along at the table listening to our normal conversations that we have off the mic.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that I had more buddies and training partners that I could nerd out about stuff like this with. So maybe there are people out there who like don't have a partner or anyone in their friend group who's into jiu-jitsu like they are.
Yeah.
And this maybe just offers a little bit of comfort. you
Yeah.
know?
So, hey, if you're out there and you want to get nerdy about jiu-jitsu, leave a comment.
Yeah,
and
we'll
we'll
talk
talk
about
to you.
Totally. Yeah, that too. I mean, I think that's fun because it doesn't have to be, I think a lot of the podcasts that I have listened to, jiu-jitsu related podcasts, it's like, well, no wonder I'm going to call out, like there's one called The Raspberry Ape. And I think he's been podcasting for quite a while. And he had like Fionn Davies on his podcast multiple times. And like, yes, I listen to those and it's great, but we're not going to get Fionn on here,
Yeah.
like, and the whole point of this is the journey and the process. And
Yeah.
so, yes, black belts have their journeys and cool, famous people have their journeys, but regular people do too.
You're right. Yeah.
And it's all valid. So I would love to be able to bring other regular people
Into
with
the
regular
fray.
lives into this and just learn a little bit about how they do things.
Well, all that being said, how was your week?
My week was good. I think I went to, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So 5 classes. I almost didn't go today. Just had a rough morning.
Life was lifing.
Life was lifing.
Well, just to illustrate that, our eldest had an accident and woke us up at 5:30, which is fine. And he is so amazing that he will go into his bathroom upstairs, change his own
He went into his
soiled-
closet, and got new underwear and pants.
new underwear and pajama pants.
Yeah.
And they're like in 2 little separate bins.
Yeah.
It's so adorable. But then he comes down into bed and then he like thrashes about and like has a stuffy nose and will not actually blow it no matter
Yeah.
how many times I give him a tissue. And then
and
he goes,
won't fall asleep.
"Is it morning yet?" And I was like, "Go
No.
to sleep,
Go to sleep.
dude."
And like, I'm not a nice person in the morning. I know that. Like, I'm a
Hasn't-
terribly mean person.
Has never been.
No. And so I'm like, just lay down. Just go to sleep. Can we wake up? No. I'm like, I'm
No
very
shame.
forward.
I'm tired.
Yeah. So then he starts playing out here without us. We get up, we get going. Our second is feisty. So
And
he just
he's-
woke up full of piss and vinegar this morning.
And he's we put him in his little like stand-up chair and he's at the sink and he is grabbing stuff and throwing it on the ground.
Yeah.
And one of the things Krystal does not see and steps on it.
Oh yeah. Like I bruised the bottom of my foot. Ross.
A hard little piece of plastic.
Yeah. Hands me my coffee. I burned my tongue on my coffee.
And then we have our breakfast and we're like rushing to get our eldest now out the door to jiu-jitsu because it's Saturday and he has class on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. And you're leaving first with one child while
Yeah.
I hang back with the other.
Because we're trying to do it where everybody's trying to go to class today. So Jacob's at 10. Oh, sorry. Our eldest is at 10:30. I was at 11:30 and you were going back for 1:30.
Yeah.
And so it was just like,
Everything had to work out perfectly.
yeah. And we're getting ready to go out the door and we hear our dog peeing in his kennel. It was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it is what it is, but you're like, I'm so sorry. I got to go.
Yeah.
So I've got the screaming small child.
Screaming baby. And
So I strap him into
Pissy
his high,
dog.
I strap him into his high chair and just start throwing his little yogurt treats at him. I got 2 packs ripped open, just like, okay, here's snacks. And then I lock the dog outside, start cleaning everything up, which is an ordeal. Then, clean the dog off. And then, we get out. And then he just starts screaming at me on the car ride. Oh, man. Yeah. And then we made it. And then as soon as he pulled up to the gym, I was like, okay, let's go watch your brother's class. And he goes, like, he has like a sound that he makes for brother, but it's not brother. So we'll just say brother, And then he goes, dada. And I was like, yeah, dada's in there too. And then he got in there and he was stoked. Like, he loves the gym.
yeah. And we're convinced he's going to be better than all of us.
Oh, he's
Like,
got
as
the
soon as he
energy and the
starts.
fire for sure. But yeah, we get there. He's his usual wiggly self, but Big Bro was having a hard time in class today.
Hard day. He was in warm-ups. He goes to do a bear crawl and he tries to set a land speed record while doing it and just eats it and almost like scorpions himself on his face. Like he went full bridge of his nose into the mat.
Well, and he
like,
had a bloody nose after that. So like he really.
Yeah, he ate it.
Yeah.
It didn't look good.
Poor guy.
Professor like went up to him and was like rubbing on his back. He was like, yeah, buddy, that looked like it hurt.
Oh. Yeah. So he was just like, he's also like dealing with the transition of going to a new gym, less of his friends. And the kids that are showing up are the ones whose parents are like gung ho, right? And so these kids are more serious or they've been doing it longer. So, in a class of 6 kids, like, 2 little girls who are just feisty and one of them's really good. And then the other one is getting good. And then 2 little boys who have like the next belt up already. So they're like light years better than him and like older, probably almost 7.
Yep.
And then our just goofy little golden retriever who like just wants to like hang, and so he's really struggling with the transition of like playtime to focused learning time. And also I talked to him about it today, but like he's feeling the like it sucks to suck feeling right now.
Yeah.
And his default is I'm just going to give up and I don't want to do it. And I'm going to refuse to roll with people that I think are going to like beat me up. And that is a very challenging thing to deal with as a parent. I'm not really sure how to navigate it. I've talked to him about it and had good conversation.
Yeah.
But he's stubborn. He's sweet, but he's really stubborn. And so I'm fearful that he will let this get to a point where he doesn't want to do it anymore. And then we're going to be like forcing him because we've never had to force him to do something really, activity wise. So yeah, I don't know. Any parents out there who have dealt with it before, let us know. He just doesn't have that competitive like spark, even though he's like plenty strong and capable.
Yeah. He's not conceptually understanding the winning of it.
Yeah. Or like fight back.
Yeah.
Like use your strength to keep the person away or to get on top. And just because they mountain you doesn't mean it's game over.
And he'll do it to smaller, unwitting kids.
Yeah. And I feel his strength when we wrestle around. I know he's probably stronger than those 6-year-olds, but he's just hasn't found his.
Yeah. He hasn't come into his own yet. And I just hope that we can bridge the gap with him.
Yeah. I don't want to like force him to compete or,
And like today, I wasn't hard on him. And
no, and I don't think I was either. I just told him, I was like, you have to finish class today.
Yeah.
You have to finish class.
There's plenty of night I go to bed and I'm like, oh my God, was I too hard on him?
Yeah.
With other just things in life. But today I didn't even mess with it at all. Like
I didn't give him any lecture on the way home either. I told him I tried to empathize. Sympathize? Yeah. Connect with him on the same topic and say like, I'm the worst person in all of my classes too, buddy.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, what I do though is when I'm the worst person in my class, I just keep telling myself, just keep moving, like, and make it as hard as possible for them to be better than me. And I think it's like, it's good to say that out loud because you're, it's, you say it, but you don't always feel it. So I remind myself when I'm having a bad day.
That's a great segue for what I wanted to talk to you about. Mm-hmm. So I know I asked you how your week went, and we'll circle back to it.
Okay.
So pause, and let's continue on with that thought, because my aha for this week was, and I think it's specifically for white belts, and I'm not a blue belt, so I don't know. But being a good training partner. And part of being a good training partner, especially as a white belt, is working on defense in a way that challenges, like make it hard for the upper belts to practice their offense. Mm-hmm. Play good defense. Mm-hmm. and that's coming from two different places. One was I rolled with a guy who I rolled with in like the first week I started jiu-jitsu, and he wrapped my gi around my head 3 times in like 5 minutes. And this time he couldn't. Did he submit me? I don't think he did. I think he tried like really hard, and I was like playing defense, and I kept, to your point, I kept moving. I just kept going like from position to position, and like, I guess trying to like reverse him or sweep him, whatever the terms are.
Yeah.
But coming out of the roll, I realized he was working really hard. Like he was beat red in the face. And I was like, oh,
interesting.
Cool. Like that's
was this the second person you rolled with or the third?
First. No,
Well,
second. Sorry, you
name
trying?
starts with the letter C.
G.
Okay.
He's a purple belt in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was a really interesting kind of like light bulb moment. And then thinking back about rolling with other white belts who just jump on top of you and immediately start going for submissions, which is, hey, all right, that is part of it. But from a weak, like going for a submission from a weak position is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
It feels awkward. It feels vulnerable for everybody. It just doesn't feel like good, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel great to get choked out, but like,
you saying as the attacker, I guess it doesn't feel good to go for a submission on someone who can't defend it at all.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's annoying to roll with somebody who is trying to submit you from weak position.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, why are you wasting your time?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like we could both be fighting's like a kind of a overused word in jiu-jitsu, but fighting for a good position and then try to submit each other.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to submitting. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But I think there is something very valuable as a teammate and somebody to roll. Being a good defender is valuable for an upper belt.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that like someone had quoted John Danaher. He said, I mean, the percentages are probably not correct, but there was a quote of him saying you should have 70% of your rolls be with lower belts. And as a white belt, you just can't do that.
That's not
right. But it's because it's so beneficial for you to practice timing and submissions and, the things that you need to practice. You're not going to be able to practice them with higher belts.
Yeah.
So as you grow in the ranks, it's very beneficial for you to seek out people who you can go practice those things on.
Yeah.
And if it is too easy, then you're not going to get better, or, you're not going to understand the like sequence of things where this is something that we talked about in my class today. Just because you learn an arm and head choke. Is that what it's called?
Neck and arm choke.
Neck and arm choke. Just because you learn a neck and arm choke from side control doesn't mean that that's always going to work for you. So you also need to know like how to go into the arm bar from there. And then if they roll out of the arm bar, there's another arm bar. And like, that's how some of the coaches are trying to approach their curriculum, because you collect all of these movements and you force yourself into the shitty position to try to execute it because that's all you know.
Yeah.
Versus someone's, teaching you how to control a dominant position, which we've had people do for us, thankfully. And then for the higher belts, you get to force them to practice those sequences because you're defending.
Yeah.
They're going to practice that choke, but they're also going to have to remember, they're also going to get really good at the option B.
Yeah.
Because you defended it, and then they're going to be better at jiu-jitsu because they're learning more of the sequence.
But if I just jump on a purple belt and start, I don't know, trying to get him in a wonky choke from the bottom or something. Or
yeah,
like,
and he's just like fighting for his safety instead of, you know,
Yes.
doing jiu-jitsu to defend himself. That's not benefiting anyone.
Anybody.
Yeah. Or if you try something that you don't really know how to do and you hurt someone, which also happens.
Yeah. So, you know, there is like a little bit of like gray area when it's like two white belts going against each other. Like, well, one of us has to be on the attack.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But it was just kind of like a light bulb moment. Like finding value in rolling with upper belts by playing good defense is like, it was super cool. It was very fun. So that was a kind of a quick takeaway that I had from this week.
Yeah. Do you want to expand on your week since we're talking about it and just kind of we'll come back to me, but how did your week go?
My week was great. I felt fortunate that I got so many classes doing the same technique that I did Monday night, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday night. I did not go Friday. I was very, very sore. And then I went today. So I got 5 in this week. And I got pretty much the same technique in drilling each day. And so it felt great. Though today I kept falling while doing the technique, which I thought was funny because I felt like great doing it Thursday night and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean by falling? Like, because it's like a little like, you know, hop to the side, kind of head down cartwheel.
Yeah, you dive your head. You know, you're trying to pass your opponent's guard, and you have their ankle cuffs, and you kind of like, you know, it's a Toriando pass, but you drive your head into their gut, and you kind of like roll your shoulder onto their hip, and kind of, if you can, collect their, like, kind of control their top leg, and you do a somersault over to their backside and get them inside control.
A somersault, so not a cartwheel.
Or sorry, cartwheel? Which one's which?
A somersault is like head over shoulder, feet over head, like a roll. Forward roll is a somersault. Cartwheel.
Cartwheel.
Okay, yeah, a little bloop.
Yeah.
Legs. Okay. You're hopping over their legs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, and you need to get vertical so they don't catch you in half guard. And I kept doing, so I was supposed to do a somersault, kept doing I was supposed to do a cartwheel, kept doing a somersault. I kept like falling
forward
or back onto my training partner.
Yeah.
And professor was telling me that my feet were too close together up in the air. And so I was like, my body was like rotating, and then I would lose balance and like fall on my back essentially.
Interesting. Yeah, I wish I could see it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the benefit of the gymnastics background. It's like just kind of seeing like, oh yeah, you're
There was some coordination with it that I started struggling with. It was almost like the more I did it, the more I started to struggle with it. Like the more I thought about it,
yeah,
the clunkier it got. But if I just kind of did it, I would do it like really smoothly.
Yeah.
And it like made sense. And so
I wonder if you were trying to kick your legs too high.
Probably.
And then like the weight, because the weightlessness when you're upside down will like kind of stun you a little bit.
Yeah.
Versus if you're just kind of doing, because you don't have to go like fully vertical, but like, you know, a nice little rainbow arc over their legs.
Yeah.
They'd have to really reach to get your legs. Interesting.
Yeah.
I only got to do that once. Yeah, my week was very disjointed. I'm not going to flip over to my week, but the instruction, I had like every possible coach.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was an interesting week because usually I get like a little variation in there, but for this week it was like the same thing every single time, which was great, but also funny because the more I did it, the clunkier it got. And
you toyed with not going today, so I wonder if your nervous system was just a little bit.
I think it was a little shot on. Also Thursday night, we did like the minimal drilling, and then we rolled for like a half an hour at least. Mm-hmm. And then after that, the coach got me to do 300 push-ups, which I haven't done, I don't know if ever.
Gosh, yeah. Not even Murph has 300. Well, yeah, Murph.
And
Yeah. When's the last time you did Murph? 10 years ago?
10 years ago. And so, yeah, we were joking, he's like, you didn't do like push-ups in CrossFit? I was like, yeah, small sets. And I'll just remind you, I did CrossFit. I'm not doing CrossFit.
Yeah. That fitness disappears in 2 years.
Yeah.
2 months even.
So, I could barely wash my hair today.
Yeah.
So I was feeling pretty cooked, but really glad I went today because it like shook off all like a lot of the soreness. Just kind of like moving my body again.
I'm interested to see how you feel tomorrow.
Yeah. And I had like a personal win today rolling. Because we learned this move out of side control. So if you're in side control and they are perpendicular to you, so their head's shooting out the side, you can wrap your arm around the top of their head and then like weave your hand up into their armpit. And then you clamp down on their head with your elbow and you grab their far leg, the knee, and then you can, because you're on your back and they're laying on top of you, and you can roll them over your shoulder essentially, diagonally over your far shoulder. And you roll over them. And ideally you don't squish their head like a grape, because that would be like a barrel roll. You're rolling too perpendicular. You need to roll like diagonally up. So you kind of like alligator roll. And I almost pulled it on this purple belt. And I don't know if he knew where I was going with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a weird move. You're like, I just have to kind of trust.
And it was very exciting. I was like, oh my God. I got like 3/4 of the way there. And then I think, like I was telling you earlier, he kind of like realized what was happening.
Yeah.
And then he like scrambled out of it. But like, I was like, that was a good feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was ready for that, or maybe he was and was letting me get it, and then was like, not today. So I didn't complete the reversal, but it was really fun to go to like,
I feel like sneaky.
To feel sneaky or like get one off, because there are times when I do attempt some type of jiu-jitsu and it just crumbles from step one.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I knew what I was going for, but it did not transpire whatsoever. And you're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm just getting crushed on bottom again. And that happens a ton. And so for it to I almost went there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was cool.
I had a couple of moments rolling with a girl. I say girl because she's so much younger, but woman today, where I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to roll with somebody who's evenly matched and like weight and strength.
Yeah.
Because like I did like you have someone in closed guard and like you can sweep or reverse them technically by sitting up and, wrapping an arm over and like doing that like
hip bump,
just like very classic hip bump sweep. And like I got it so easily on her today. Like with the big guys in class, I can't even sit up.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, why would I ever attempt that? So just to know that like
you got a hip bump sweep off on her?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, trap and roll, hip bump sweep. Like let's go with the basics today.
101.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely like the stuff that we've learned in the last 4 months, like as cool as it all is, the only things that have really shown any sort of like promise in my rolling have been the pure survival type moves, like really basic, like how to get someone's knee off your belly.
Yeah.
I use that a lot now. I'm like, thank goodness I know this now at least. I'm excited for the day when the cool stuff starts to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so kind of like coming back to that, just jumping onto like submissions and stuff, like there's all these things you can do that are actually very fun, even when you're on bottom getting controlled, where you're like, oh, like I reversed that. That's cool. Or I got out of that precarious position. And it's not that that's not shown in teaching. It is. It's shown in our coaching, like those moves and those things.
Yeah. A lot of it. And
then I feel like a lot of people are there, and rightfully so. And I'm glad I do see it, so that when the moment arises, I can probably try it. But again, from a strong position, in the coaching, you're shown how to armbar somebody or how to get to a choke. And I think sometimes it's lost the setup or the escape or the defense. I think a lot of us are wooed by the offense.
Yeah.
And kind of wave off the defense because it's like, well, I'm going to go for that. I'm going to go for the offensive.
I just need to get the armbar or the Kimura.
If I can just get a hold of the arm, then I can get off the armbar or something.
Yeah, but a reversal feels so offensive when you're just stuck in bottom all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it feels so cool to like get out of a position.
Yeah.
I'm taking those wins for as long as possible.
I almost want to get so good at that the whole time I'm rolling, even as like an upper belt, like I'm just like slippery and reversing folks.
Yeah.
So that to frustrate them.
Yeah.
I want to frustrate people.
Yeah. And you force a flow roll in a way by doing that, right? You keep things moving. I think that people will get really deflated if you're just like submission, like I feel the energy now of rolling with higher belts where they do that. They're, that kind of like catch and release, like, I would have had you here.
Yeah.
They don't say it, but you can tell there's like that's where the takedown was. That's where the choke was.
Yeah.
And then the last 30 seconds, I've noticed there's a split where they'll either go, okay, I'm going to let you go for something, or they go, okay, I'm going to
get mine.
And it's just, I don't know. We all want to have fun doing this too. So
yeah. So that was, I don't know. It was a mindset shift.
Yeah.
That I think I was really needing because I was feeling very defeated.
Yeah. On that topic really quickly, I saw the full translated Chinese I think it's a Chinese proverb. And one of our professors says this often, but he says, don't break your toys.
Yeah.
But the full phrase, translated. So obviously it's a little different, I'm sure, but it's don't break your toys or you'll have nothing to play with.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Don't, this is a community. These are people who we want to continue to train with. And yeah, just you have to approach things a little bit differently. So.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. So it's been fun. It was a good week. I was very, very sore. I was worked. I was very tired at the end of this week, but it was a good one.
Good. I'm glad.
What about you?
Also a good week. I mentioned I can't remember. Wait, did I go in on Monday? No, I don't think I did. Because normally I go on Monday morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I skipped Monday morning because I went to a Girls and Geese event on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So my week, I think we filmed or we recorded last Saturday maybe. And so I went to a Girls and Geese seminar, which if you're not familiar, it's a chapter-based I think it's a nonprofit, and they have a Washington chapter. I'm sure every state or, kind of tri-state bundles, depending on how big the states are, have chapters in the U.S., maybe a little bit of Canada. And they put on a seminar at a new gym that just opened up in the area. The gym is co-owned by a female black belt. And they put on a 3-hour seminar where a couple of female black belts teach some moves. And then there's an open mat. And it's donation based with like a suggested donation. And all of the proceeds go to first paying the instructors fair wages for their time. And then anything left over plus any profit from swag purchases goes to a scholarship program. Oh. So people who want to do jiu-jitsu but can't pay for it or can't afford a gi or want to travel to, nationals because they qualified, but they can't afford it. Like they will help divvy out the money, which is awesome. And it was all women and girls. There were like young girls there, as young as probably 6, all the way up to black belts and a handful of women who have never done jiu-jitsu before. That was their first time. Pretty wild. The instruction was pretty simple. They broke it down and gave us tons of time to drill. So I went with a girl from our gym, and then another gal from our gym joined as well. And yeah, practiced, it wasn't anything that I don't think one move was new. It was like a Americana from close guard. And then we did a lapel choke from side control, which we'd done before. So it was kind of nice to get some more practice doing that. So yeah, I was 3 hours. I only rolled once and then we ended up leaving. But I was still pretty tired from that and had to wake up at 5 to get to the 5 a.m. to get to the 6 a.m. class on Monday morning and just called it. So I didn't go on Monday morning.
That would have been 8 days in a row, I think, for you.
Yeah. And I need some recovery. I'm competing in 2-ish weeks. So I really don't want to make myself susceptible to injury or burnout. So I skipped Monday. So actually I didn't go to as many classes this week. Skipped Monday. I went to Tuesday evening, which was our lead professor's first evening coaching, which was awesome. And then Wednesday evening, so Tuesday was no-gi. And then I went to Wednesday evening, which is same professor, but gi. So he taught different things those days. And then Thursday morning, I did what you were doing with our regular morning coach. Didn't go Friday, and then went today for a women's only class and did something completely different. So 4 days, completely different. So I don't think I retained much from the week.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to just move my body, get rolls in. People have been very sweet and helpful knowing that I'm competing. So they're kind of giving me little tips. And one person helped me practice some takedowns after class. And yeah, how many days? I'm going to look at my calendar right now. Competing, happening. It's the 21st of March and the competition is in exactly 2 weeks. So I'm still eating super clean at a 400 calorie deficit. I could technically wake up in the morning, put my gi on and fast until weigh-in and be okay. But because they are going to have us weigh in right before our bracket gets called, which for the adults is going to be midday, I need to be able to eat food and drink water. So I think I'm going to try to lose another pound to 2 pounds in the next 2 weeks. So I'm still cutting some calories, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
For me, and just the way that we naturally eat, all that I feel like I'm really doing is eating more regularly. I am not eating the pastries and bread that I would normally add to my diet. And then
Black-ish coffee.
Half of my coffee's no cream or sugar. And then I don't drink sweet drinks of any kind aside from a sweet coffee occasionally. And then our meals that we cook have just been very low carb. The carbs that we're eating are fruit mostly with our lunches and dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, really.
Yeah, we've been doing good. We haven't had we haven't been doing pastas for a very long time.
No, yeah.
But
and I intentionally have to make sure that I have calories available at the end of the night so that I can have a late night sweet treat.
Yeah. You were making mug cakes?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what your mug cake was? Because it was so good.
Yeah. If you have a sweet tooth and you want to make something at the end of the night and you don't want to bake a whole cake, make a mug cake. So the one that the one that I've known that they're a thing, but I just never maybe made them once or twice. But for me right now, I'm like, oh, it's hitting the spot. And I know this recipe that we've been using is like 300 to 350 calories. So ours is, I'll just rattle it off in case someone cares, but 3 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar. You can dial that down if you want to, or replace it with maple syrup, but it's still calories. I think it's a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, a pinch of salt, and then 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, because this one's chocolate. And you stir all that up really well in the mug. And then you add 3 tablespoons of milk, 1 tablespoon of oil. They say that you can replace that with applesauce for a lower calorie, but I haven't done that yet. I just don't know. I don't want to mess with it too much because it's already like a little, like textural change might be weird. And then a little bit of chocolate chip.
Yeah. We have some like good quality chocolate chips.
Yeah. So we sprinkled some chocolate chips, stir all of that really well because it gets all clumped up at the edges of the mug and the bottom. And then you microwave it for 70 seconds. And then after it's done, you leave it in the microwave for another minute. And then that's it. And ×2. And it's delicious.
Yeah. A little half cup milk.
Yeah. So just been eating clean, not overdoing it, making sure I'm like tracking the number of times I eat during the day. I've been getting a lot of like cravings for salty and like crunchy things lately.
Huh.
So that's why we got some like seaweed snacks and popcorn and pickles and
yeah, we got to throw away the chips, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's just because they're there and like it's such a tactile, I'm bored kind of food. So I can see how people who love potato chips, like my mouth is watering right now.
Well, I mean, we don't have potato chips necessarily. In the
No,
house.
but we have chips that are probably, we have tortilla chips and we have some chips that are made of potato-ish things.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're made out of, palm oil, but
from the Korean Mart.
From H Mart. But I see why how people could gain a ton of weight from eating them. Because if you look at the packaging, it's like 200 calories for like a handful of chips.
It's so nuts.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been focusing on. Clean eating, getting training sessions in, not being like too crazy about it. I obviously care about the competition. I'm a competitive person, so I want to do really well, but I'm also trying to not stress myself out about it too much. I have downplayed it probably a little bit too much when people ask me about it because I'm like, it's just a white belt competition. It's fine. Because I know that when I get there, I'm going to be serious and I'm going to be my usual competitive self. So I'm trying to keep that off my plate for as long as possible and just focus on going to class, having fun, absorbing the tips from people who have competed before, and just rely on whatever little bit of instinct I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's going to happen. It's like the blackout.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
I mean, what I hear
instinct.
from other people is like, yeah, you black out, you can't hear your coach. It's super loud in there. And, the person's going to come at you way more aggressively than you expect them to. And you just hope you end up on top. Because with the white belt matches, one thing that I've heard is like, it's really important to be the first person in a dominant position. Unless you're way stronger than the person, then you'll be okay. Like if they not accidentally, if they get lucky and they sweep you, but you're way stronger, you're probably going to get out. But if you're evenly matched or they're stronger than you and they get in that dominant position first, it's just like odds are you're not going to win. Either by points, because you can get like 6 points or whatever from a takedown and getting into side control or mount. And so if they just like stay there, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Or if they can submit you from that position, then you're also screwed. And as you're trying to squirm your way out, you're exhausting yourself. So you're less likely to be able to do something and get into a dominant position.
Yeah.
So I am definitely feeling good about my fitness, my strength. And I hope that there's enough jiu-jitsu there to do something cool.
Yeah, you'll find out.
Yeah. And I really want to at least, like, it might be the only match I get, but I really hope that I win my first match. Like that's my goal, I think, is to win the first match, because the first match might get me a second one, because there are enough people in my bracket right now. I think there's like 7 in my bracket.
Okay.
And it's single elimination, which
Ooh.
I imagine being, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that means if you get booted, if you lose your first match, you're out. You don't get another one. But if you win your first match, I think that then you go against the other person who won their first match. And so if, let's say there's 8, then there's going to be those matches, and then those matches, and then you could get 3 matches in total.
Okay.
So to win the first one, to be able to go a second time, not so much like I just want to win a match, but because like I don't want to pay $75 to have like one match.
Yeah, and just be like, day's done.
Yeah, and like all of the lead up and like all of the donuts I could have eaten and, you know,
yeah.
all of that for one match. Oh, man. But I also know that's a possibility, so I can't just get too
Hard
stressed
on
out.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, my week was great. People are great. People are awesome. People at our gym are wonderful. They're, you know, giving me some very practical tips, one of which is figure out what your takedown is and practice it now for the next 2 weeks on every person you get a chance to practice it on. Because you need to know all of the ways that they can get out of it and if it's like valid for you. So I'm going to do that. I might try to do 2 just to practice to see like which one feels best.
Sure.
And then one other tip was for the next week, try my darndest, which is hard because I'm always rolling with big, strong people, and just men, but try not to use my strength. Try to just use my technique so that I can then in competition rely more on my technique when it matters most. So
I would love for somebody to explain that to me in real time.
same, because I don't think I know enough jiu-jitsu to do that properly quite yet.
Me neither.
But I try to take it as a compliment, because, you know, the person who said it to me was like, for how new you are to jiu-jitsu, you're quite technical. But I also know, and she didn't say this, but I know that I'm also kind of a brute and a stronger female. So I'm sure that she feels me like, you know, grabbing a wrist and ripping someone's hand off of me, or like, you know, whatever it is that I'm doing that is just like strength based.
Forcing somebody into a position.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but a good example probably would be like, I could probably sweep a weaker, lighter person without bridging properly. But for someone who is stronger, like if I ever sweep a guy, that bridge is perfect and the timing is perfect.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, just focusing on the fundamentals. And yeah, 4 classes. I wanted to go 5, but I feel pretty good right now. We've been sprinkling in some other exercise and just like long walks, weighted walks, both because it's really good for, you know, keeping lean, but also just something that's a little different and easier on the joints.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just excited about the next 2 weeks. I think the week before the competition, I will try not to go hard, but still have like enough chance to move my body. You know, this is a topic that is relevant for 50% of the population, but when I get my period, I tend to get a really sore back. And my back feels like it's always on the verge of like blowing out. I don't know how to describe it, but like it feels like one wrong movement and my back will like get tweaked and like like it feels like my muscles are looser, and there is something to that hormonally. What is it? Relaxin'. So I think the week before, just timing wise, let's see, this next week I'll probably be really grumpy, and then
I'm very angry.
Yeah. And I'll probably have feelings like everyone hates me and I'm going to do a terrible job at the competition. Wow, wow. And and then and then I'll be sore, and then as I start to recover, then I'll have a few days and then the competition. So I think I'll be okay. Yippee! And yeah, hopefully I don't retain too much water and I hit the weight that I need to hit. I'm not intending to do any sort of like cutting or saunaing or hot baths, but those are always options if like the day before
I feel under the gun.
Yeah, no, I'm just like not where because I know roughly how much I'm going at this very scientifically. So I know how much I'm losing every night just with like breathing and peeing and not eating. And so I think if I like weigh myself at the end of the night, I'm like, ooh, I'm not feeling quite right. Or I wake up that morning and I'm like, ugh, it's like I'm on I want to eat a good meal, but I'm like on the verge of whatever. Then I can take a hot bath or go walk with a sweatsuit on or something.
Do we need to buy a sauna suit for you just in case? Have it on deck?
I don't think so. I have until I have it in my calendar. I have a reminder set on my phone because the last opportunity to change weight classes is next weekend.
Okay.
So I have an entire week to try to hit the ideal week and then just try to hit the ideal weight and then maintain it for the week. That's my goal at least. And if by that point I weigh exactly the same as I do today, even though I've been cutting and exercising, then I might consider like just going up a weight class and not stressing out about it. Because if I get there and I don't hit weight, then I don't get to compete.
Yeah.
So
I go home. Bye-bye.
Yeah. If it's like for some reason this like last pound is that stubborn, but I don't think it will be. I'm not too concerned. I'm also like eating a lot of salty food right now, and it makes you retain water. So I bet like that last 3-4 days, if I cut salt, like a lot of sodium from my diet without ridding myself of all my electrolytes, which, that's kind of a fine line. I'm sure I'll do a little research on that, but I think that I could hold on to less water.
Yeah. Because we were talking about it, and you're not cutting in a way that is very extreme.
I'm not even
cutting.
I'm not cutting, like I saw this crazy video of Cyborg cutting, and like her coaches should be banned from UFC or whatever. Like the things that they made that poor woman do to hit weight, she was like sobbing because she was in so much pain, and they were like had her like doing the hot baths and then like getting in a sweatsuit, and like she was so dehydrated she almost like passed out on the scale, and it's just terrible.
Absolutely irresponsible.
Yeah, like I get headaches when I get dehydrated. I get cranky. I don't want to be dehydrated at all. I would much rather do the really tough work this week of doing my weighted walks and exercising and like losing a couple pounds of fat, not eating my sweet treats. And then like one of our coaches said, walk in on game day with my smoothie and like feeling good and happy and hydrated. 'Cause it's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's not that serious. And I'm just treating this as like, I want my summer body. So this is my time to get my summer body and like get a little bit more strict about not eating the things that I shouldn't eat as often. I'm sure I'll go back to having a little bit more leniency after, but I'll also start doing some weight training after probably too. So
yeah, because it feels like what you're doing, because we're blessed in that we are not overweight and you're really close to the weight class you want to compete in.
Yeah.
And
And that's just chance. Like it
Yeah.
just happened that my walking around weight was like 3 pounds heavier than I wanted to be for this weight class.
Yeah. And you're like, huh, great.
And I feel a little squishy right now because I had a kid a year and a half ago. So, I mean, still, but like
And we like snackies.
that weight hangs on you for a while. And I haven't done anything drastic to try to lose any weight. Anything at all, really. Like we've been just living normal life,
Yeah.
but we eat relatively healthy. So I figured there's some extra fat on me right now. I can lose a little bit.
And so what you're doing right now, I would see it as like if somebody was doing an extreme cut to get down to weight, that's probably because they were living recklessly with their diet or nutrition.
Because I mean, if they felt like that was possible, then I
Yeah.
feel like you would
If
either have
you're
to be,
not like a professional athlete.
yeah, you would either have to have ample body fat to lose, or you would be willing to dehydrate yourself in an unsafe manner.
Correct. And so whatever road led you there, all of a sudden this avatar that I'm talking about has to like do this extreme cut because they're an average Joe who is trying to do some sort of fitness competition, jiu-jitsu. It's also kind of like a reminder that, hey, you probably need to make it a lifestyle change if you're having to cut like an extreme amount of weight to do whatever you want, because if you want to go down. Sorry,
right. I was just going to say pause there. Have to. I think there's weight classes all the way all the way up to 175 and up for the women. So
Sure.
No one has to. It's just that I think some people are like, well, I'll have the edge in the lowest weight class I can get to.
Or if I'm 5'2".
And I used to weigh blank in high school, so I know like in quotations that I can get that light again.
Yeah.
But again, it's like if you're not a high level competitor, really consider like if you're doing this for yourself and you're like, this is just a nice motivator because I want to lose this weight.
Yeah.
And I am confident that I can do it, then great. Use it as a deadline for your realistic goals. But if you're like, I'm going to win if I lose this 15 pounds, you really got to rethink things because you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And because I don't think that it would make that much of a difference for someone's white belt jiu-jitsu tournament.
And I guess maybe what I'm trying to get to is like the point or like the realization or whatever is that this person should probably be eating like you're eating right now as like a lifestyle change. Not necessarily in a caloric deficit, but just like eating healthier. Like cutting out all the tasty snacks in a way. I don't know. I'm having a hard time like kind of conveying this, but it's really, I don't know. It feels good that you don't have to do anything extreme, I guess, like that I don't have to witness you like starve yourself or dehydrate yourself to like a unsafe place because you want to get down to some weight.
No, I mean, I think what you are saying is you're grateful that we have tried to take care of ourselves up until this point.
Yeah. Just like, all you get to do it by just eating clean. Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably should be a takeaway for somebody who has to do a massive extreme cut is like, oh, if I just year round eat clean, then if I want to do the competition next year, I don't have to do some dangerous extreme cut because I've been doing the work of eating clean all year.
Yeah. And also, no one has to do that.
Totally.
Yeah. I think that's where I get a little hung up. It's like, no one has to do this.
Sure.
I don't have to do this.
Sure.
I could have sat and ate a cheeseburger the night before and competed at the 165 and under weight class. but I just didn't feel like when I roll with people, I mean, they're blue belts now, but when I roll with a couple of women at the gym who are, I'm taking a rough guess, 15 pounds heavier than me. So they would be in like the weight class up or maybe 2 up. They're better at jiu-jitsu, definitely. So maybe that's just why they crush me. But like when they put it on me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is hard.
Yeah.
And so I would hate to go into a division where someone who's 175 did extreme things to cut to 165 and happened to perform well, even though they were dehydrated, rehydrate to 170 or something, and then just like beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And
so maybe you feel like in the end of that, like maybe I didn't do all I could do to put my best foot forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I felt like I owed it to myself to try the really like a minimal cut of 3 to 4 pounds to see.
And what a good
happens.
motivator to have a lifestyle change to eat cleaner.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and one of our coaches was like, you're probably going to be, I mean, I'm in the master's division, so I think a lot of us are mothers. I am one of the oldest ones, which I find very just interesting, nerve-wracking, I don't know, but like I'm 38 in a division that's 30 to 39. And a lot of the ages that I'm seeing are like 30, 31, 32, 34. So I am definitely the old one in there, but I also I don't feel 38.
Yeah.
And he was like, I also think like for like your body type, you're probably going to be like one of like the fitter ones, and there will be women in your division that are like shorter and squatter. And he didn't mean it in like a
disparaging way.
Yeah, it was just like, that's just realistic. Women's bodies typically don't look like mine. I think the average woman is probably a little bit shorter and a little bit heavier than I am. So, I think it hopefully makes things better.
I was going to say it.
Easier for me. No, I'm trying to say like,
yeah,
that works in my favor.
Yeah.
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 Being dense with muscle, having long limbs. Unless they're really good at ankle locks, then I don't know.
It's all good. We learned how to get out of them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Thanks, honey.
Thank you. It's been a great week.
Yeah. Here's to another one, and then another one, and then we'll have a very fun report back after that.
Yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Give us a like, drop a comment. We'll talk to you, and subscribe.
Thank you.
And until then, honey.